An ex-veteran won an alien fox bride as a medal, but she was the gentle, strongest princess disguise. Now in his late 40s, he preferred quiet, a small colony on the edge of the Alpha Centauri sector, simple meals, long walks in the artificial parks, and the occasional drink at the local bar. Life had slowed down, and Ryder liked it that way. But the galaxy had other plans. It began with a summons, a golden envelope, stamped with the insignia of the Galactic Confederation of Worlds. Ryder had seen such letters before, usually inviting retired officers to war councils or ceremonies. But this one felt different. Inside was an invitation to the Imperial Grand Tournament, a rare event held every 50 years. Warriors from countless star systems would gather to compete in feats of skill, cunning, and strategy. And the prize was said to be unlike anything Ryder had ever imagined. The letter mentioned it plainly. The victor shall receive a prize of honor, an alien companion from the distant world of Feloria. The prize shall accompany the victor for life, as a symbol of glory. Ryder frowned. He had no interest in trophies. He had fought countless battles, lost friends, and carried enough medals to fill a small vault. The idea of winning a person as a prize made his stomach twist. Still, curiosity and the quiet insistence of the Confederation won him over. He would attend. One last ceremony. One last show. The grand tournament was held on a massive space station orbiting a star larger than Earth's sun. Ships of every shape and size glimmered in the docking bays, and alien languages filled the air. Ryder had stepped onto many battlefields, but he had never seen such a gathering. The sheer diversity of species was staggering. Towering insectoids with 6 arms, sleek amphibians gliding on water-like energy fields, and beings whose forms were so strange that the human eye struggled to focus. And yet, amidst this chaos, Ryder remained calm. He had seen the worst the galaxy had to offer. Pomp and glitter were nothing. The first day of the tournament was ceremonial. Warriors showcased their skills in arenas filled with spectators who cheered and gasped in equal measure. Ryder did not compete. He was invited as a guest of honor, but the organizers had a surprise for him. When the final announcement was made, the crowd's excitement reached a fever pitch. A prize, reserved for the honored veteran, would be presented. Ryder followed the attendants to the grand hall, expecting some exotic artifact or ceremonial weapon. Instead, a figure emerged. A fox-like alien, graceful and small, with fur that shimmered like silver starlight and eyes sharp as a predator's. She moved with effortless poise, every step a careful calculation. The crowd gasped. Whispers ran through the audience. This was not merely beautiful, she exuded power. The attendants presented her formally. "Ryder Kane," said the announcer in booming tones, "you have been chosen to receive the Felorian Prize, Leora of House Veyrath, future envoy of the Felorian Empire." Ryder blinked. He had expected something ornamental, maybe a delicate alien to serve as a symbol. Instead, this being stood before him with an air that demanded respect. Hello," Ryder said cautiously, keeping his tone neutral. Leora bowed slightly, her eyes never leaving his. "Greetings, Ryder Kane. I am honored, though I do not belong to anyone. I am given only as a companion of respect, not possession," the crowd murmured. Ryder felt a spark of curiosity. This was no ordinary prize. The tournament rules required that Ryder accept Leora formally. A ceremonial clasp was placed on his uniform, a symbol that the prize now accompanied him. Ryder, though hesitant, treated the gesture as purely ceremonial. He would not parade her around. She was not a trophy. That much was clear. Leora, for her part, did not speak much during the ceremony, but her subtle movements hinted at something extraordinary. When an overenthusiastic alien tried to touch her arm in congratulations, she stepped back, not aggressively, but with an aura that warned of danger. Ryder noticed and raised an eyebrow. He liked that. someone who understood boundaries and could take care of themselves. After the ceremony, the two were escorted to Ryder's ship, a modest cruiser that had once served in countless battles. Leora examined the ship with keen interest, her eyes scanning every corner. Ryder, amused, said nothing. She was meticulous, calculating, and silently assessing everything. Not ornamental, practical, capable. "Do you always judge everything so carefully?" Ryder asked casually, leaning against the control console. "I observe. Observation keeps one alive," she replied simply, eyes glinting. "And I do not survive by appearances alone." Ryder chuckled. He had spent decades learning the same lesson. This one, it seemed, was already ahead. The journey back to his colony was quiet. Ryder piloted the ship while Leora sat in the co-pilot's chair, studying star maps and systems with uncanny precision. The silence was comfortable, not awkward. Ryder appreciated that. It was only when an unexpected space pirate ambush occurred that Leora's true abilities began to surface. Two small but heavily armed pirate ships emerged from a nearby asteroid field, cutting off Ryder's path. Ryder was ready to fight, of course, but Leora's response was immediate. She moved with lightning speed, adjusting controls Ryder hadn't even noticed and deploying countermeasures that disabled one of the pirate ships. "Your reflexes," Ryder muttered, impressed. "You didn't just react, you anticipated." Leora's eyes softened slightly, though her expression remained serious. "Anticipation is survival. I assume you have taught humans something similar in your campaigns." Ryder smiled faintly. "We do what we must." "You clearly do more than that." By the time they reached safety, the pirates had retreated, leaving Ryder staring at Leora in awe. She was not a gentle trophy, not an ornamental prize. She was a warrior, a strategist, someone who could survive and thrive against deadly odds. When they finally landed on Ryder's colony, the locals were shocked. Word had spread about the prize of the grand tournament, and everyone expected a delicate, decorative alien. Instead, they saw Leora moving through the town with quiet confidence, her silver fur catching the sunlight, her sharp eyes taking in everything. Children stared. Traders whispered. Even the colony council, which had hosted Ryder for years, looked bewildered. Ryder ignored them all. "She's my guest," he said simply, walking beside Leora. "Not a decoration, not a medal, a guest." Leora's eyes flicked to his, a small hint of approval in her gaze. Ryder felt something he hadn't in years: curiosity, challenge, and respect. That evening, Ryder and Leora sat on the balcony of his modest home, watching the twin suns set over the colony. The air was quiet, filled only with the gentle hum of the colony's energy grid. "You seem calm," Leora said. "Few humans would accept what I am without fear or desire for control." "I've fought enough to know what matters," Ryder replied. "Strength, intelligence, respect. You have all three, that's enough for me." Leora tilted her head, studying him. For the first time, her posture relaxed. "Then perhaps we may learn from each other." Ryder laughed softly. "You might just be the most interesting prize I've ever won." And with that, the quiet of the evening settled over them. But Ryder knew, deep down, that this was only the beginning. Leora was more than a companion. She was a mystery, a challenge, and perhaps, in ways he did not yet understand, a kindred spirit. For now, they would rest. But the galaxy had already started to notice. The journey through space after the tournament was far from ordinary. Ryder Kane piloted his cruiser with ease, but he couldn't shake the sense that something had changed the moment Leora had stepped on board. She was quiet, always observing, always calculating. Every star system they passed, every asteroid field they navigated, she seemed to notice details no human could. Her sharp silver eyes scanned the view screens, the navigation panels, and even Ryder himself, as if measuring his worth silently. Ryder had faced the deadliest opponents in the galaxy, from pirate warlords to rogue AIs. He had never met anyone like Leora. She was not ornamental, not decorative, and certainly not submissive. And yet she never overstepped. She moved with a gentle precision, like a predator testing her environment before striking, though Ryder could feel that she could strike if she wished, with ease. He leaned back in his chair, studying her. "You know," he said, "most humans would never survive one day with your instincts. I've seen your kind in combat simulations before, but you're different. You're real." Leora tilted her head as if considering whether to respond. Then she said softly, "Observation is survival, Ryder Kane. You have taught yourself well, but some lessons must be learned by experience." Ryder grinned. "Experience, huh? I've got plenty of that, but I'd like to see what you're capable of. Just don't destroy my ship." She gave him a small, knowing smile. "I prefer precision over destruction. The ship is yours for now." Their quiet travel was interrupted sooner than Ryder expected. While passing near the Elisara cluster, sensors picked up a group of ships approaching rapidly. Ryder frowned. "Pirates, mercenaries, or something worse?" Leora leaned over his shoulder, scanning the readouts. "Worse. These ships are not ordinary raiders. They are trained, organized, and heavily armed. Their tactics are efficient." Ryder's jaw tightened. He had encountered many mercenary squads, but something about Leora's tone made him uneasy. Before he could react, the first ships opened fire. Lasers streaked across the void, cutting through the darkness with deadly precision. Ryder maneuvered quickly, dodging a volley. "These guys don't give up easily," he muttered. Leora's response was immediate. She moved to the weapons console, her fingers dancing across controls with almost superhuman speed. Within moments, their shields were reinforced, their thrusters rerouted for optimal evasion. Then she accessed the targeting system, calculating trajectories Ryder had never considered. "Brace yourself," she said calmly. "We're going to end this fast." With a series of precise strikes, she disabled the lead ship's engines, causing it to drift uncontrollably into the others. Ryder's eyes widened. "How did you do that so fast?" Leora shrugged lightly. "I observe patterns. Then I act before the pattern completes. It is simple mathematics." By the time the last enemy ship fled, Ryder realized he was no longer dealing with a ceremonial companion. He was traveling with a warrior, a strategist, and a predator all in one, and she had not even broken a sweat. After the ambush, Ryder decided it was time to ask the question he had been avoiding. "Leora, you're not just a ceremonial prize, are you?" She regarded him quietly for a long moment. Finally, she said, "You are perceptive, Ryder Kane. Few notice." "Yes, I am more than what the Confederation claims. I am a member of the Felorian royal line." Ryder blinked. "Wait, the prize you gave me, you're a princess." "Yes," she said, "though my status is complicated. My empire faces internal strife. There are factions that would see me removed, perhaps even killed. I came disguised as a gentle companion, so I might travel safely and learn the intentions of others." Ryder's mind worked quickly. He had heard stories of royal heirs using disguises to test loyalty, but never seen it in action. So this was all a test, for them or for you? "For both," Leora said. "I needed to survive, and I needed to know who could be trusted. Humans are underestimated. Your presence provides a unique opportunity." Ryder leaned back, considering this. He had spent years thinking the galaxy was predictable, lines of power, patterns of war, but this changed everything. Not only was Leora strong and intelligent, but she was also hiding her full abilities. And yet she had chosen to trust him in some way by traveling together. "You're strong," Ryder said finally. "Stronger than most I've met, but why trust me? I'm just human." Leora's silver eyes met his. "Humans are unpredictable. You think, adapt, and act in ways others do not anticipate. I have observed you, Ryder Kane. You are not only strong, you are clever, and you respect boundaries. That is rare." Ryder felt a spark of pride. He had survived countless wars, faced countless enemies, and yet her words carried weight he had not expected. The days that followed were a mix of travel and subtle training. Ryder taught Leora human tactics, ambush patterns, trap setups, and improvisation in combat situations. She adapted immediately, combining her Phalorian agility and reflexes with his methods. The synergy was almost instantaneous. One afternoon, they landed on a small, uninhabited moon to rest. Leora moved silently, exploring the terrain while Ryder checked their supplies. When he turned, he saw her standing atop a ridge observing the distant horizon. "You've changed," Ryder said. "You're more open than before." "I am learning," she said. "Humans do not rely solely on strength. They adapt, they endure, they survive in ways that defy expectations." "It is impressive," Ryder smiled. "And do you enjoy this?" Leora looked down at him, a soft glint in her eyes. "I enjoy competence, and I appreciate allies who do not underestimate me." The quiet moments between them grew. They spoke of past battles, strategies, and even personal regrets. Ryder found himself sharing things he had never told another soul. Leora listened, never judging, always calculating, yet with a subtle warmth that humanized her. Their peace was shattered when they encountered an ambush set by mercenaries working for a Phalorian rebel faction. Ryder's ship was hit, alarms blaring as hull breaches threatened life support. Ryder struggled to maintain control while Leora moved with fluid precision, neutralizing boarding drones and redirecting power to shields. When a group of heavily armed mercenaries boarded the ship, Ryder and Leora fought side by side. Ryder's old combat skills, honed through decades of war, were complemented perfectly by Leora's alien reflexes and strength. She moved with grace and lethal precision, using techniques Ryder had never seen. Together, they became an unstoppable duo. After the fight, Ryder finally acknowledged what he had suspected for some time. "You're not just a princess in hiding. You're the strongest being I've ever fought beside." Leora's eyes softened slightly. "And you are not just a retired soldier. You are more than the humans they underestimate." The battle left them both exhausted but alive. Ryder realized that their partnership was more than necessity. It was mutual respect, trust, and understanding. They relied on each other, not as master and prize, but as equals. That night, as they repaired the ship, Ryder asked a question he had been avoiding. "Leora, what happens next? Your empire, the rebels, it's dangerous. Why involve me?" "Because humans are unpredictable," she said. "Your actions, your choices, and your courage may be the difference between survival and defeat. I cannot do this alone, and perhaps I do not wish to." Ryder nodded. He had survived countless wars, faced empires, and outwitted foes, and yet this partnership was something new. He respected her, feared for her safety, and in ways he would not admit aloud, felt a connection he had not felt in years. As they traveled further into Phalorian space, Ryder began to notice something curious. Other ships, observers, scouts, and even ambassadors watched them from afar. Whispers spread. A human had won the Fox Princess as a ceremonial prize. Few understood that she was not a passive companion but a powerful heir. Fewer still realized that Ryder Kane was no ordinary human. The galaxy had expectations. It assumed humans were weak, primitive, and predictable. Ryder and Leora would challenge all of that. The Phalorian Empire shimmered in the distance, a vast collection of cities floating in orbit around a golden star. Ryder Kane's cruiser approached cautiously, sensors scanning for threats. After weeks of travel, ambushes, and subtle skirmishes, Ryder and Leora had grown into a seamless team. They trusted each other implicitly, human ingenuity and experience blending with alien reflexes, strength, and intelligence. Together, they were more than a veteran and a princess in disguise. They were a force the galaxy had not yet seen. "Ryder," Leora said quietly, her silver eyes fixed on the Empire's capital, "the time has come. We must ensure the safety of my people and confront those who wish to see me removed from power." Ryder leaned back in his chair, hands resting on the console. I've fought my share of empires, princess, but your people, they've got their own chaos going on. Yes, Leora said, and it is underestimated chaos. That is why we must act carefully but decisively. Ryder smirked. Careful is my middle name. Well, maybe reckless, but mostly careful. Leora's small laugh carried a hint of relief. Even in the tension before a battle, she appreciated humor. As they neared the capital, subtle attacks began. Small skirmishes erupted from shadowed docking bays. Mercenary drones, sent by factions loyal to the rebel lords, tried to halt their approach. Ryder's experience immediately kicked in. Brace yourself, he said. They don't know what they're getting into. Leora's eyes gleamed. I do. The first wave of attackers came in fast, armed ships swooping through the orbital defenses. Ryder piloted with precision, dodging deadly energy streams while coordinating the ship's countermeasures. Leora's hands moved over the control panel with impossible speed, calculating firing patterns and shield adjustments. Within moments, their attackers were disabled, their ship spinning helplessly into the void. This is too easy, Ryder muttered, shaking his head. They underestimated us. They always do, Leora said softly, and she was right. Across the galaxy, humans were underestimated. Not for lack of skill or intelligence, but because aliens assumed humans relied only on brute force. Ryder and Leora were about to prove otherwise. They docked at the capital under a neutral pretense, claiming to be ceremonial visitors. Once inside the floating palace, the true challenge began: political intrigue. Rebel lords who opposed Leora's reign had already infiltrated the court. Ambassadors whispered in corners, advisors plotted quietly, and spies shadowed their every move. Ryder walked beside Leora, scanning the rooms with a veteran's eye. They're organized, he said, but they aren't ready for this. We move fast, strike smart, and the rest falls apart. Leora nodded. I trust you. Humans have a way of acting when others hesitate. That is our advantage. The first confrontation came during a formal audience with the High Council. Leora was supposed to announce her return, to claim her rightful seat. Instead, rebel council members tried to humiliate her, questioning her ability to rule. They underestimated Ryder's presence. Ryder stepped forward subtly, his calm authority filling the room. These accusations are baseless, he said in a voice that carried across the chamber. I've seen her leadership, her strength, and her judgment. I've fought alongside her. She earns her place, not because of lineage, but because of competence. The room fell silent. Aliens turned their heads, whispering to each other. Humans had no formal power here, yet Ryder's words carried undeniable weight. Respect earned in combat and calm reasoning was a universal language. The next attack was physical. Rebel factions triggered a sabotage sequence in the palace's orbital defenses. Drones flooded the corridors, armed to destroy. Ryder and Leora moved like a single organism. Ryder's combat experience guided every step, blocking, striking, calculating, and Leora's strength and agility amplified each move. They fought through the halls, taking out drones with minimal damage. Leora's fox-like reflexes allowed her to dodge attacks that would have crippled even the most seasoned human soldier. Ryder adapted, using traps, improvised barriers, and unconventional strategies that no alien could anticipate. Together, they were unstoppable. After clearing the palace of the first wave, they discovered the true threat: a coup orchestrated by a coalition of rebel lords who believed the Felorian throne was weak. The rebels had underestimated both Leora's power and Ryder's human ingenuity. You see, Ryder said quietly, they assume their plans are flawless. That's their mistake. Leora nodded. And humans do not follow assumptions. The final confrontation came in the throne chamber. A dozen rebel leaders confronted them, armed with energy blades and advanced weaponry. Ryder moved forward, not with brute force, but with strategy. He lured them into a narrow corridor, forcing them to bunch together. Leora followed, her movements fluid and precise, taking out opponents with minimal effort, neutralizing multiple enemies at once. The rebels fought fiercely, but Ryder and Leora were always 2 steps ahead. Ryder's tactical genius combined with human unpredictability gave them the upper hand. Every move was calculated, yet flexible. Every reaction was lightning fast, yet deliberate. And Leora, no longer hiding behind a gentle disguise, displayed the full extent of her strength. In the end, the rebels were disarmed, bound, or fleeing. Leora stood in the center of the chamber, radiant and commanding, her silver fur catching the ambient light. Ryder, slightly bruised but unharmed, nodded in respect. "You underestimated both of us," Leora said, her voice calm but firm. "Humans and Phalorian royalty, that was your mistake." With the palace secured, Leora addressed her people formally. She revealed her identity as the strongest Phalorian princess, no longer in disguise. The court gasped, but admiration quickly replaced shock. Ryder stood beside her, quiet but commanding respect merely by presence. He had earned a place not by title, but by competence, courage, and loyalty. The galaxy watched as humans and aliens alike realized something profound. Humans were not to be underestimated. Ryder Kane, retired veteran of countless wars, had led a small team, and alongside Leora, changed the course of a major alien empire. In the weeks that followed, Ryder and Leora worked to stabilize the Phalorian Empire. They rooted out remaining rebel factions, reformed key council positions, and strengthened defenses. Leora ruled with wisdom, her gentle demeanor matched by unwavering strength. Ryder, though never seeking glory, became a trusted advisor, blending human pragmatism with strategic insight. Even alien leaders from distant worlds began to take notice. "The human Kane," whispered one diplomat. "He fights like no one else, and he does not bow to fear." Indeed, Ryder had not sought recognition, but it came naturally. Humans had been underestimated for centuries, seen as primitive, unpredictable, and weak. But Ryder, with his years of experience and unshakable resolve, proved that humans could rise to challenges no one expected them to survive. And when paired with allies like Leora, their impact was immeasurable. One quiet evening, Ryder and Leora stood together on the palace balcony, overlooking the glowing expanse of the Phalorian capital. The twin suns reflected in her eyes, and Ryder felt a rare sense of peace. "You've done more than I imagined," Leora said softly. "Not only for your humans, but for my people. You inspire loyalty, respect, and courage," Ryder chuckled. "You're not so bad yourself. Most aliens would have crushed me by now." "And yet," Leora replied, "we complement each other. Your strength lies in thinking, adapting, and trusting. Mine in power and precision. Together we are formidable," Ryder nodded. "I think the galaxy will learn that soon enough. Humans are rarely predictable, but we always endure." They watched in silence, the twin suns setting behind the floating cities, casting long shadows across the palace. It was a new beginning, not just for Leora's empire, but for the humans the galaxy had long underestimated. And for Ryder Kane, the retired veteran who had once expected a ceremonial prize, life had become infinitely more complicated and infinitely more rewarding. The Fox Bride disguise had been a test, a secret, a puzzle. But in the end, it revealed something far greater. That strength, intelligence, and courage were not limited by species. Humanity, paired with wisdom and respect, could reshape the galaxy itself. Ending hook. Together, a retired human veteran and a fox princess had toppled conspiracies, defeated enemies, and proven that courage, ingenuity, and honor were more powerful than titles or weapons. Ryder Kane and Leora of House Veyrath had become legends, a symbol of what humans could achieve when they dared to rise. The stars watched silently, and the universe would never make the mistake of underestimating humanity again.